Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I'll be playing another premiere draft of March the Machine, the brand new set featuring the war with the Phyrexians. Without further ado, let's just get into this draft. So for our pack 1 pick 1, we have Chrome Host Seed Shark as the rare, which is a really sweet card. 3 mana for a 2/4 flyer is already a really large stat line for such a cheap mana cost, and this is going to give us a huge value effect, allowing us to produce incubator tokens with X +1/+1 counters, where X is the non-creature spell's mana value as we're casting them. So if we cast a 6 mana convoke removal spell like Shatter the Source, boom, we've incubated a 6/6 token onto the board. We just have to spend the 2 mana to flip it into that Phyrexian. So Chrome Host Seed Shark is an absurd magic card, and we're happy to pack 1 pick 1 that. We also have a Baral out of the Multiverse Legends slot, so we got a double rare pack. Little sad always to have to pass a rare, but this is a format where that's going to happen a lot. There are tons of multi-rare packs. So we'll start it off with Chrome Host Seed Shark and see where things go from there. As I said before last pack, I do think that Blue-Red Convoke is probably the strongest place for this card to be, because not only do we have some high mana cost non-creature spells that we can play for cheap, but we can also hold up some extra mana to immediately flip the incubator tokens, since we're tapping our creatures instead of our lands to cast those spells, and we have some creatures like Ral's Reinforcements that are both a sorcery to trigger a card like Chrome Host Seed Shark, and creatures to help us convoke our other spells. So I kind of like trying to just immediately hop onto the Blue-Red Convoke train and take Ral's Reinforcements here. It's definitely not one of the strongest cards in the pack, but it's not that far off. It's probably the 3rd or 4th strongest. The strongest ones are probably these black sacrifice cards like Completed Huntmaster and Berserker, but I just think that Blue-Red Convoke is going to be an incredible home for the Chrome Host Seed Sharks. I'm going to try to just force my way into that lane here. And for pack 1 pick 3, we get a really solid follow-up, Invasion of Kaladesh. 2 mana for a 1/1 Thopter, and if we can flip this battle, then we are going to get an additional creature. It's a vehicle that we have to crew, but still can be a nice big chunky card there, so I do like that battle quite a bit. Oracle of Tragedy has been playing pretty slow, hasn't been as good as I'd wanted it to be, but it is some card selection, it's okay. 2 great black removal spells here, so we could maybe take Collective Nightmare instead. I think that is the strongest card in the pack, by a good enough margin that maybe we don't force the red card this time. But we would start off with a 1/1 Thopter and a 2/4 Chrome Host Seed Shark if we take this here. So we've got multiple things that are good at attacking battles, multiple things with flying. So I think Kaladesh or Collective Nightmare would be fine, but Collective Nightmare is a really, really good removal spell, because you can play it for free with that Convoke. I guess I'll take the black card this time. I'm not super worried about these signals that I send in this format, because in a format that has 2 rares in quite a few packs, you can't really trust the signals you get pack 1 to pick 5 really, so I'm not worried about what I'm signaling to the other drafters until quite a bit later in the pack, and even then, you shouldn't really be that concerned with the signals that you're sending. You need to be much more concerned with the signals you're receiving, because you're going to get 2 packs from the person on your right. You're only going to get 1 pack from the person on the left. So if I give my opponent the clearest signals in the world to also be in Blue-Red Convoke, all right, I miss out on 1 pack, but if I see clear signals that it's open from the right, then I'll still have 2 great packs for that deck. So not super worried about the signaling here. It's not something I really think about that often. This pack is just really weak. There's not much to say here. Honestly, none of these cards I really even want to end up playing. I guess I'll take Dreg Recycler if we end up in black-red. I don't think I want to try to be blue-white Knights with the Seed Shark, so not that interested in the blue-white gold card there. I am very interested in the Xerax Strobe Knight here. 3 mana for a 2/2 Flying Vigilance. We can tap it to create a 2/2 blue knight token with vigilance if we've cast 2 or more spells this turn. The 2 easy ways to do that are Convoke and Battles. With Convoke, we tap all of our lands to play a creature and then tap all our creatures to play another card. That's an easy way to get 2 spells in 1 turn. And with Battles, we can play the battle and then flip the battle in the same turn, and that counts as 2 spells. So take the Strobe Knight. Or if we just like flip a battle on a later turn and then cast an additional spell that turn, that also counts as 2 spells. So definitely the Strobe Knight there. Card is an incredible card out of blue. Failed conversion is okay. Removal out of black. To go with our blue-black direction. I'm not seeing a lot of great red stuff, so that might be fine. We could also take Skittering Surveyor in case we want to end up splashing a third color. Not the worst if you have some 7-8 mana cards, even if you are a 2-color deck. Don't think I'm taking the Stormclaw Rager here. Pretty convinced I want to be in blue. Stasis Field is okay, but I think I'd prefer to just use black removal if I can. That actually gets stuff off the board. I'll just go for the failed conversion here over the Skittering Surveyor. Pretty close though, because I don't think conversion's the greatest removal ever, and Surveyor's pretty solid. It's pretty fine. Very easy temporal cleansing here. Very nice Convoke card that'll work excellently with our Seed Shark and our Strobe Knight, and it keeps us in blue, which is where we have our strongest rare. Scoop that up. Pack 1, pick 8. Another Rouse Reinforcement's pretty late, which is excellent for blue-red Convoke, so I'm going to stay open to that and take this. We could also take Invasion of Vryn, which is solid card draw 3, discard 1, and then if you flip it, you get to double a spell later. That is quite a solid card. It is a little slow. 4 mana doesn't affect the board, but yeah, and the fact that you flip it and you don't even get like a creature out of it immediately, you just have to amplify your next spell. There's some flaws with it, but it does stick to our main color. I think I'm still taking Rouse Reinforcements, but that pick's really, really close. Swiftwater Cliffs here for blue-red fixing. Annihilate Essence is okay, but I'm personally not a huge fan of taxing counterspells because I feel like I just always draw them at the wrong time. I guess with this, even if you draw it late in the game, when your opponent can pay for it, you still get a 2/2, but that's not that exciting. I think I'd rather take the blue-red duel, but I should probably start trying to play Assimilate Essence. Does look like one of the better ones we've had. Cyber Cryptomancer is a pretty great way to counter removal spells or win a combat out of nowhere. If they block your 3/3 with their 3/3, then you make your creature a 4/4, it wins the combat, doesn't die. If your opponent casts a removal spell on your Seed Shark or something, you just give it hexproof and it doesn't die. We wield the Invasion of Kaladesh, so that's a pretty great sign for blue-red. Now we can take a Lithomantic Barrage. This isn't like completely unmain deckable, but there's very few 1 toughness creatures or planeswalkers, so you are really relying on that 40% of the time that you're playing against white or blue. I'll actually just take Rugged Highlands. More potential fixing if we do some off-color stuff. Lookout any good? Doesn't look like it. I mean, a 2-mana 2/3 defends pretty well. I think I'd rather just have the Beat Stick. Been impressed by just getting Menace and spitting out some treasure tokens. It's been fine. Alright, we're definitely blue-red or blue-black. I like our synergy in blue-red better, but we have good removal in black, so we'll see how things go from here. For pack 2, pick 1, we got a bunch of sweet white cards that I don't think I can move on to here, because I only have 4 blue cards total, so I'd have to cut a lot of stuff here to swap to blue-white. I think I need to stick to red or black, one of my backup colors here. Nothing good in red out of this pack. Frontliner's okay at attacking battles. We do have 1 Invasion of Kaladesh for that, but I think I'd rather just take Blight Reaper Thallid. This card's just a really sweet 2-drop for any black deck, a 2-mana 2/2. Then you can spend 3 mana and 2 life to turn it into a 3/3 and a 1/1 Sapperling. And when it dies, you get another 1/1 Sapperling, so plays very well. Now we get a Halo Forager for blue-black as well. Excellent card. 3 mana, 3/1 flyer on curve, or if you hit it later in the game, you get to recast an instant or sorcery from any player's graveyard just by spending X mana, where X is the mana cost of that spell. So you get a removal spell and a creature all off 1 spell late in the game, which is pretty busted. Reinforcements is good. Eyes of Ataxius is good, but I'm going to go for the Halo Forager here. And it looks like we are starting to really push for blue-black, if possible. Meeting of Minds is solid card draw. Good Convoke card. Invasion of Olgrotha, I haven't actually played with this that much, but it's always looked pretty okay. on the opponent's side of the field. 5 mana, 3 damage to any target, and gain 3 is very slow, but very big when you flip it. Evasion's kind of interesting. It's also Joyful Storm Sculptor for blue-red, Convoke. Quite solid, but I did just take a bunch of black cards now, so I think I'm probably pushing more towards blue-black. I think I want to take Meeting of Minds over Invasion. It does feel just extra slow. No! Don't give me a Brutaclad. Well, if we get a Brutaclad, I guess we're still trying to play blue-red over blue-black, because... So this is a 6 mana 4/4. As soon as I go to combat, I get a 2/1, and then I could turn all my 1/1 elementals into 2/1s as well. Getting a 2/1 mirror every turn. That's a pretty bomby card. That is explosive enough to push me back in the blue-red direction. It's so awkward because you're still getting sweet black cards over anything else. Like Heel Slasher's real filler. Aetherblade Agent's quite nice. 2 mana 1/1 Death Toucher. If you flip it later in the game, you get to start hitting your opponent and potentially drawing cards with it. Super excellent. Take that black-red duel, try to play all 3 colors. It's a bunch of red cards here, but none are great for the blue-red deck. Informant's not that great for the blue-black deck either, though. I guess I'm still just bouncing around until pack 3 here. Maybe we'll open up a sweet rare in one of our 2 colors to really be our tiebreaker here. I don't really like any of these that much. I'll just take the Informant. Okay, pack 2, pick 7. There's a Storm Sculptor still in here. If we wheel the next Storm Sculptor, that is great for blue-red. I think I like Artisan a little better than Javelineer for this deck. It's just faster. Bruiser's fine at attacking battles, but kind of slow. Ichor Drinker and Dreg Recycler are still in here. I'm not a great Ichor Drinker deck, though, because we're not really a sacrifice deck, but it is a solid card. Still a Rembreaker's Grasp for solid white removal. Got a lot of good black. I think I'm going to speculate on that other Storm Sculptor wheeling and getting into blue with my Brutaclad. Just take a frontliner so I have another filler red card, because the black cards there are just slightly better than the red ones. And I've already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 towards blue-black. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 towards blue-red, but some are really bad. Alright, we wheeled Arouse Reinforcements. That's beautiful. Join the party. Triple Rouse Reinforcements is going to be sweet in a deck with Brutaclad. For sure. Brutaclad's going to be an awesome top-end card. Turn all of our 1/1s into 2/1s and just get beating down. Alright, we only have a blue-red dual land, so we don't have any black duels. Could see ending up like splashing a Halo Forager or something in the end if we're blue-red at the core, simply because this is a card that is at its most powerful at 6 or 7 mana, and it only requires 1 black mana to cast it. So we might do a tiny bit of splashing, but I don't think we're going to try to end up in full Grixis at the end of this. We could get aided by our Beamtown Beatstick here. Oh yeah, we wield the Storm Sculptor. Really a draft pod where, again, it just feels like blue-red and blue-black are both wide open. Like Dreg Recycler still here. But I think with that Brutaclad, we're going to be blue-red at the core. Triple Reinforcements, also incredible with our Chrome Host Seed Sharks. I'm really liking how things are looking here. Yeah, look at this curve too. We've got a very legit deck. Oh yeah, I'm not playing Halo Forger or Plains. All right. Pack 3. What do we have here? 4th Rouse Reinforcements. We've been wheeling a lot of Rouse Reinforcements. Do I try to wheel this one as well? If there's anyone in red, they're probably going to take Reinforcements over Greatsword as the only red cards. But hopefully they have a second color where there's a better card for them and we can just take the Aerialist here. Getting our first little 2 mana 2/1 flyer feels great. We've got a flying kind of sub-theme going on. Getting a lot of evasive threats feels good. And this is a sweet one. 2 mana, 2/1 flyer is already good, and if you can flip it later, you can draw a card off of it too. I'm going to take the Aerialist over the Reinforcements and cross my fingers a bit that we can get that Reinforcements to come back to us. Halo Hopper's okay because we've got a lot of creatures to convoke it with, but I'm looking for big non-creature convoke spells ideally. This is not a great pack for us. There's a Tidal Terror, which is fine, gives us a top-end card we can cycle early game if we don't have enough lands. Ren's Resolve is okay. Card draw. Assimilate Essence is an okay counter. I think I'm just going to take Bloodfell Caves. That'll help splash in Halo Forager if I end up wanting to do that. Pack 3, pick 3. We have a bit of Incubate going on with at least Chrome Host Seed Shark. Not much other Incubate outside of that, but I really like Corruption of Tawashi. 5 mana to incubate 4, and then every time you transform a permanent or a battle flips, you get to draw a card. You only get to draw the card once per turn, but it's easy to set things up to where you're only flipping 1 card per turn. Huge late game card draw engine, and worst case scenario, it's like I guess a 7 mana 4/4 that draws you a card. It's not the greatest, but you spread the mana between 2 turns, so you don't need like 7 lands on board to do it. I just like Corruption of Tawashi a lot, and I'm going to scoop it up here. Here's a big Convoke spell, but it doesn't really do anything by itself. Copy your next instant or sorcery twice. It's really cute, but I think it's more cute than anything. I probably just take the big flyer with Convoke. With our triple Rouse Reinforcements to just slam this on the board pretty early. Very low on removal. I probably did need to be taking counter spells here, because we really only have like a Temporal Cleansing. We didn't get any red burn spells in this draft pot, unfortunately, which makes Agar pretty bad. Agar makes it so if you do any excess damage with your Giants, Wizards, or burn spells, you get to draw cards, but we have 0 burn spells. So I think we just take Eyes of Gitaxias. We get to put another creature in our deck that still adds to our non-creature count, which is beautiful. Gives us more card draw as well. And another card that can flip for the Corruption of Tawashi, which is nice. Prankster's okay, Frontliner's okay, Resolve's okay. I think I like Moment of Truth better than Resolve for being instant speed. Not super in love with Beat Stick, but we've got 2-drop creatures to put it on, which is fine. It ramps us up a bit. Yeah, I mean, I have like Meeting of Minds and stuff for card draw. I'll take another Beat Stick. Another Invasion of Kaladesh now. Join the party, although Flywheel Racer would make a Black Splash super easy. I don't think we need the Black Splash. If I really want to put a Halo Forager in, then yeah, we take a Flywheel Racer. We can crew it with our 1/1s, beat down with it, and get a black ban out of it. But I'll just take another Invasion of Kaladesh, get some more flyers. Oh. Now I might take Flywheel Racer, because I really don't think I'm that excited about the Order of the Mirror. We did wheel the Rouse Reinforcements, alright. Quadruple Rouse Reinforcements the deck. 0 removal, all reinforcements, spamming creatures all over the board. Hoping for the best. I guess Zalfir Shapecraft is better in this deck than most, because we have at least 8 1/1s in here. 4 reinforcements. That's 8 1/1s right there. 2 Invasions of Kaladesh as well. Yeah, this is actually a legit combat trick. It's going to be +3/+1 draw a card on a lot of our different cards. Maybe we play a negate with so little removal, but probably not. I already have a Saiba Cryptomancer, which is like a negate that can convoke something. I guess it only negates removal spells, but still. That's a lot of frontliners. Alright, if I want to play removal, I have to splash black. I have a Flywheel Racer, and I have a black-red duel. Possible. But my black removal isn't even great. It's Collective Nightmare and Failed Conversion, so both only kill small things anyway. Or I could splash in a Halo Forge and hope my opponent has a good removal spell in their grave. I think I'm just going to stick to pure blue-red here. And that is our one flaw of the deck, 0 removal. It's a pretty major flaw in this format, unfortunately. Did feel like blue-red Convoke was really open, but there was at least one blue drafter at the table and at least one red drafter at the table, and they scooped up every single removal spell that they saw, left us with like nothing. Yeah, maybe I got a little too excited about Brutaclad, but I don't think that this is a draft pod where blue-red was not open. Blue-red Convoke was clearly open. The problem is that there was a blue drafter, there was a red drafter, and they took the removal spells. They didn't take our synergy pieces. We got tons of reinforcements, some storm sculptors and stuff, but they took all our removal. So sticking to blue-black from the start probably would have ended up with a more consistent deck. A deck that has more counterplay against bombs and stuff, which is pretty important in this format. So we might get a little hosed for hopping on the Brutaclad train. But hopping on the Brutaclad train did give us a more synergistic and a more explosive deck. So we'll see. See if our less interactive deck here manages to play against some decks without too many explosive bombs. We can do some pretty explosive things with it. We'll find out soon enough. I don't know if I even really need the beat stick. If I'm not splashing, I definitely don't need the racer. I could still use it as a vigilant card. I might just try to get as fast as possible. I mean, I've got like 4 1/1 elementals, 2 1/1 flyers, a 2/1 flyer. Beat sticks might just be solid little aggro cards. Then we could be as fast as possible here. Maybe cut some of our slower cards like Corruption of Tawashi, even though I do love it. I like it, but it is pretty slow. And if we're going to have double beat stick, we probably can cut Flywheel Racer, but it is also an aggro card. I mean, a 3/2 Vigilance that we can crew off of a 1/1. With 4 Ral's reinforcements, I mean, having a crew 1 vehicle like that does feel good. And it's a card that lets you dump your hand super fast. I can go turn 2 Flywheel Racer, turn 3 play a Ral's reinforcements, crew the Racer, hit my opponent for 3, tap the Racer for mana, tap my 3rd land for mana, and play another 2-drop. Could just go like super aggro here. Cut like some of the bigger dorks like War Trained Slasher instead, so cut Slasher, Tawashi. Probably not Thunderhead Squadron because of the Convoke. And definitely not the Storm Sculptors or the Brutaclad. Those will be the top end that we use. I guess I could just cut 2 Frontliner, call it a deck. Probably want to cut a land here, though, if I'm going that aggressive. I do have a 5-drop and a 6-drop. I've got 2 5s and a 6. But I've got a Racer for mana, 2 beat sticks for treasure tokens, and a lot of good little aggro 2-mana creatures. All of my 4-mana cards have Convoke. My 6-mana card right here has Convoke. I think I can cut a land here, at least one. So we can cut 1 Frontliner, 1 land, call it a nice little blue-red aggro deck. We're exactly even on blue and red cards. That's a little awkward, because we can't have exactly even blue and red sources off of 16 lands. One of these colors is going to have more sources. I guess red is slightly more important in the early game because it gives us a beat stick for treasure tokens. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 red cards that cost 2 or less, and only 3 blue cards that cost 2 or less. So I need the red turn 1 for beat stick, but the blue I can wait a tiny bit. And I don't have any cards in this deck that require 2 blue or 2 red, so the mana should be easy. Alright, real aggressive blue-red Convoke deck here. Looks like a really fun one. And yeah, I think we're calling it a deck there. Alright, here's a look at the final deck we'll be playing today. It is a blue-red Convoke aggro deck. Our one big flaw today is that we don't really have any interaction or any removal. We've got our 1 Temporal Cleansing to slow down 1 bomb from our opponent, but other than that, we're going to try to just outpace our opponents and beat them down super quickly. We have a couple Beamtown Beat Sticks that we can put on our myriad of 2-mana creatures. to start getting extra damage in with Menace, as well as getting treasure tokens to help dump our hand even more quickly. Then at 2 mana, we have Cryptomancer as a way to protect one of our creatures from removal, and then Skyclave Aerialist as a flyer, 2 frontliners as tramplers, 4 reinforcements as great Convoke Dorks, 2 Invasion of Kaladeshes for more flyers, and a Flywheel Racer to get crewed off of all of our 1/1s for all of our little aggressive 2-drop creatures, so that is a ton of them. We also have Zelfir and Shapecraft as a really solid combat trick in a deck that has a million 1/1s. Turning a 1/1 into a 4/3 is a pretty big difference, and we draw a card when we do so. So this replaces itself as well, which is quite nice. At 3 mana, we have the Chrome Host Seed Shark, which is a big MVP for this deck. It's going to be creating... it's going to be incubating X, where X is the mana value of any non-creature spells that we cast. And we have a lot of our creatures in this deck even basically being non-creature spells. Cards like our 4 copies of Ral's Reinforcements, our 1 copy of Eyes of Gitaxias, our 2 copies of Invasion of Kaladesh, and our 1 copy of Flywheel Racer. So we have tons of cards to trigger this to get a bunch of little incubators as we're dumping everything out. So once we've dumped our entire hand, we have a ton of incubators left over to flip. That being said, even if it never incubates, it's a 2/4 with flying for only 3 mana, so Seed Shark is probably the strongest card in the whole deck. Then we have Xerox Strobe Knight. With a deck with this low of mana curve and multiple Convoke cards, it should be pretty consistently spitting out some 2/2 Knight tokens, which is phenomenal. We have a Harried Artisan as a nice little aggro dork, the Eyes of Gitaxias as a card draw creature, Thunderhead Squadron as a gigantic flyer that we can convoke out early, and some convoke spells like Meeting of Minds for card draw and Temporal Cleansing as our 1 piece of interaction. Topping off the curve, we have a couple Joyful Storm Sculptors to go wide and maybe do some extra damage when we're convoking. And our second biggest bomb, just because it's a lot slower than the Seed Shark, is Brutaclad Telcor Engineer, which can do some really sweet stuff in this deck, even if it is slower than the Seed Shark. With this, we can make all tokens we control copies of that 2/1 Phyrexian Mirror that we get on board, which means that all of our incubator tokens are just, instead of being unflipped however many counters on them, they're going to be 2/1s with that many +1/+1 counters, and all of our elemental tokens can turn into 2/1s. If we've played an Invasion of Kaladesh to get a 1/1 Flying Thopter token on the board, we can turn all of our elementals and incubator tokens and the Phyrexian Mirror into 1/1 flyers, which could also end a game out of nowhere. So there's a lot of fun little synergies with Brutaclad. We even have 2 beat sticks producing treasure tokens, so if we're just really flooded on mana and we've got extra treasure tokens, we can use Brutaclad to turn them all into Phyrexian Mirror or whatever our best token on board is. So Brutaclad and Chrome Host Seed Shark are really the build around rares for this deck, and both of them have tons of super sweet synergies in this pile of cards. So really explosive, really aggressive deck. The big issue again though is in a bomb heavy format like this, if our opponent gets down their own Seed Shark or their own Brutaclad, there's very little we can do to interact with it. We really have to just outrace our opponents here. So a little sketchy, the lack of interaction here, but outside of that, some really powerful things are possible with this deck, and I'm excited to see how it does as we head into the gameplay. Alright, here we are on the play for game 1. Super sweet late game Brutaclad. We've already got some tokens to turn into 2/1s with it. Definitely keep the hand. Multiple 2-drop little aggro dorks. We've got our 1 piece of interaction as well. And we know what we're trying to do to end the game. And there's another Ral's Reinforcements. Against an Ichor Drinker, I think I'd rather just drop the frontliner for now. Trading a single 1/1 elemental into the Ichor Drinker is definitely not bad. Okay, well that's bad for us. I think I just trade this. Get it out of the way. Alright, wow, alright, triple reinforcements. Definitely have to hit some lands to get to this Brutaclad, but if we get there, that's a lot of 2/1s. I was going to say Temporal Cleansing because I just immediately defaulted to that. I think that's what I'm going to do here, but a Xerox Strobe Knight is what they played. I wanted to call it Temporal Cleansing because I just want to cleansing that card. So let's do that. Do not auto pay. Get that out of here. Slow them down. They're going to choose to redraw it. 2 mana away from Brutaclad coming in. Giving it. Oh my god, they have 2 Xerox Strobe Knight. That is terrifying. They don't have the mana to flip this Incubator token. So I can put an Invasion of Kaladesh on them and immediately flip it at the cost of a single 1/1. Pretty sure that's worth it. Now I can just start crewing some flyers with my 1/1 elementals. If Brutaclad makes all my tokens a Thopter or a Mirror, that's a lot of artifacts on board for Aetherwing. That's a lot of damage. That being said, our opponent's gonna have a lot of 2/2s. With double Strobe Knight. That is just so sick here. Yep. Come on, lands. That is not a land. That is a potential flyer. We're definitely playing it. This is crew 1, right? Yeah, so I'll just crew it with an elemental. Okay, well, I chip in for 2. Could also hold blockers up because they're attacking for 4 next turn potentially. Rather hit them or hold up the blocks. I guess it's probably better to hold up the blocks. If they play any kind of good battle, they can just immediately flip it or force me to sack a Thopter. Well, that's a very good battle, so seems good that I didn't attack here, but they might still be able to just flip it. Oh, they make me discard a card? No. Oh, no. Well, this is going to be the saddest way to start this draft. We had the perfect board state for this Brutaclad, and this thing just makes me discard that card. I couldn't play around that. I didn't have any extra cards to hold in hand, because I need to hit 6 mana to cast the Brutaclad. I guess I could have held Harried Artisan in hand, but that's definitely not the play. Alright, well, at least it looks like it would have taken quite some time to find my 6th mana regardless. But that is very sad. I cry every time. The Brutaclad Thopter dreams have died. Invasion of Ogrotha. Kill my artisan? Sure. Two 2/2 knights now. I mean, having just a 2/4 on this board basically has been really helpful, and now we'll just get another one with this Aerialist. Do I have any 1 mana blue cards? No, the only 1 mana card I have is the Beat Stick in red, so I'm going to flip it off of these lands. I have another 2/4. Get a Zalfiran Shapecraft, that is fine. I could start holding lands now in case they have another Invasion of Amonkhet, because my only 6 mana card has already been discarded. Got a Storm Sculptor though that costs 5 mana. I'll start holding lands now that I have 5 on board, I think. Eruption of Tawashi. Opponent gets to start drawing cards as they flip their incubators. Alright. So how do I win this game? It's definitely not with my current board state. We have to draw into Seed Shark or something like that. try to take over from there. Our opponent has much more consistent value engines just already on board with 2 Strobe Knight and 2 tokens to flip to Corruption of Tawashi, so it's looking pretty bad. We're definitely far behind, but it is possible that we can draw just a lot better than our opponent. Might have to just start attacking with my flyers, but then I don't have 2/4s as blockers, and they can just start sending in with all their 2/2s freely. And if they flip any of these battles, things are just going to get worse. Yeah, I mean, it kind of just feels like sort of a waiting game here, where we need to draw into another pretty powerful card. Turn this stuff around. Alright, Preening Champion. That's another flyer for our opponent. Do they have a second spell to go with the champion for Strobe Knights? They do not. That is great. Another Invasion of Kaladesh. Gives me another artifact. Makes my Aether Wing basically a 3/4 now. Don't think I can really attack this though, because if I send a 3/4 or a 2/4 at it, it's going to trade into a single 2/2. I guess it kills one of the Strobe Knights, but still feels like I don't really have attacks. Deadly Derision, the 2/4, sure. Send everybody an Invasion of Volgrowth. Yeah, I am down to all just 1/1s here, so yeah, this is where something's gonna flip. I have a second removal spell for Aetherwing. Yep, it's pretty good. 5 1/1s over here. I can kill like 2 of their creatures, and then they have like 10 creatures to my nothing. Alright, I guess the game has ended. Oh, and that was their second spell this turn too? Yeah. This was almost a game if they couldn't discard our Brutaclad, but super dead. 0-1 to start it off. Alright, here we go for game number 2 now. Definitely a keepable hand here. Opponent is on the play, so we're on the draw. Turn 1 Captive Weird it is. Drop an Aerialist. That is a card that should look strong enough to potentially draw removal from them if they have the 2-mana Volcanic Smite to shoot something for 3. And I guess that's not big enough to kill Seed Shark anyway. So I guess it wouldn't really matter if they drew that, if we drew that removal out here. I'm a little tempted to wait till I have 5 mana to play Seed Shark and Cryptomancer in the same turn. If I play Flywheel Racer now, I can play Seed Shark next turn and then crew the Flywheel Racer if I ever need to play Cryptomancer. I think if I can just protect this Seed Shark, it should just get me the game. So I'm going to play around Stoke the Flames for 4 damage to something here. Make sure they can't shoot Seed Shark for 4. We can just give it Hexproof in response with Cryptomancer. Invasion of Regatha. That's really good here. Kill an aerialist, shoot me for 4, and they have a free 3 damage swing on the invasion. And this flips into a 4/4 prowess that adds 2 to all their non-creature damage. So we're on Seed Shark. Crew the Flywheel Racer and cast Cryptomancer if they try to kill it. They have 2 removal spells for it. They have 2 removal spells for it. Not much can be done there. Alright, they're going to flip their Captive Weird. Exile the top card of the library. It is an island. I could theoretically cast a Cryptomancer to kill one of these 2. But feels a little greedy. I have no way to stop them from flipping the invasion, which is bad. I mean, I guess there's no reason to even block if I'm not going to kill one of the things, because it's still going to flip, yeah. I'm not going to try to kill one with Cryptomancer, I'm going to try to save that for Seed Shark. Pyretic Prankster. Play. Don't think Shapecraft is going to be the greatest thing ever, so I'm just going to ditch it to draw a card and incubate here. Drawn to a Storm Sculptor. Strobe Knight could be phenomenal. So I've got 6 mana total if I play this island. I need to hold up 2 for Cryptomancer. Could play Strobe Knight or Eyes of Gataxias. I think I'm going to go Strobe Knight. And they have the 2 mana for Cryptomancer or to flip an Incubator. They've got just a huge board state though, since they got to flip a battle so quickly. But if I can keep this Seed Shark out, I'm going to get enough Incubators eventually to get enough double blocks going if I can just survive, keep my life total high enough. Okay, we cannot survive. Chandra called. It's time to burninate. Even if I Cryptomancer here, they still kill my other creature. Because Chandra shoots 2 things. Ay, ay, ay.
If this is the end, let's go out with a bang!
So we take 5, attack Chandra with the Seed Shark. Could chump the 5. It's a wizard though. It's a human monk, so they don't get to draw cards off of it. The chump is okay, but I might chump more damage later. This Cryptomancer is only going to chump. Might as well. Okay. Can play Storm Sculptor and still have 2 mana up to flip the Incubator. No. And I don't have to hold the mana up for the Cryptomancer because it's already been cast.
I'll find another way.
Prankster's getting flipped. When that dies, it'll kill one of my 1/1s with it. Send in the squad. Is this a wizard? It is not a wizard. Okay. Sack a 1/1 to the Goremonger, takes 7 here. Okay. Board states are starting to even out a little bit. We might be getting there off the Seed Shark. Card is pretty busted. I'm gonna have the mana to flip both my incubators off of this. That's 2 3/3s. I think I even attack with Seed Shark at that rate. Get them down to 11. 2 3/3s, a 2/2, and a 1/1 as a blocker. Just put a 3/3 on Agar, a 3/3 on Frontliner, and a 1/1 on the 4/4. Seems reasonable. So Nahiri's Warcrafting. They do finally kill the Seed Shark, but they don't draw any cards off of Warcrafting. So now board states are even enough. It kind of feels like a top deck war where they're slightly favored because they have a slightly better board state. Oh, they do still get to hit a card? They didn't deal any excess damage. What? Oh, because their disciples made it do 2 extra damage. Well, never mind. That actually does flip it then heavily in their favor because they draw a card off Agar because of the excess damage. They draw their choice out of the top 2, which is Shatter the Source for another removal spell. That will also do excess damage and they'll draw an additional card. Good lord. Alright, well. Thought we stabilized. And then opponent said no. So they attack with 1 creature so they can hold up Shatter with Convoke. Yeah. You know, the worst part about this is, even if I don't flip the incubators right now, they can still just shatter one of them with the destroy target artifact part. So no matter what happens here, they kill one of my 3/3s instead of my smaller cards. I guess at least they don't draw a card killing one of my 3/3s if I wait to flip them. So I think I will. I can't assemble a good block here. If I flip both 3/3s and block with my entire board, they can shoot a 3/3, kill a 3/3 and a 2/2, draw a card, get the prowess trigger. They actually kill my entire board and draw a card. They lose disciples, but then I have 0 board state if I blocked with everybody. Because that would be a 6/6 versus a 3/3, a 2/2, and a 1/1 because they'd shoot the other 3/3. Alright. Goodbye. Removal spell? I'm really surprised they didn't end up casting it at all. I'll take it. Maybe they thought it was until the end of their next turn. A lot of those spells are like that. I already have the mana to flip both of these. I'll keep this in hand. Alright, if they've drawn their 3rd burn spell, they can just completely ruin my blocks. But if I chump block Disciples every turn, I'm not going to draw out of this unless I hit like Brutaclad really quickly. Or I just chain all of my 4 Rouse reinforcements together in a row. Then I'd have enough chump blockers. All 4 Rouse reinforcements are still in the deck, so maybe we are on chumps. How do we play around 1 burn spell? 1 burn spell would mean that they shoot the 3/3, and they have a 5/5. So if I block like this, we play around 1 burn spell. They shoot a 3/3, they have a 5/5 versus 5 power, 5 toughness. But then I'm still pretty dead if they have a burn spell here. Because they'll draw a card off of Agar, we'll kill the Disciples, but then they'll still have a 3/3 and a 2/2 against just a single 1/1. And I think it's the best we've got, but it doesn't feel particularly good. And if they have 2 burn spells, we're just doomed. Okay, Afara's Dispersal. Basically a removal spell here. Do they have 2 of them? They do not, so at least we kill the 5/5, but again, this does put the board state very heavily in our opponent's favor again. The main deck Lithomantic Barrage. And the land. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I could scoop down. We don't have any outs at this point. Even our 2/3 that makes a couple 1/1s doesn't give us enough defense to survive all the trample and the 3/3. And our Brutaclad certainly doesn't either. Alright. Now we are legit dead on board. 0-2 to start off this draft. Really sad one. Really getting kind of rolled over. I wouldn't even say I'm getting like super punished for my lack of removal, though it would have been helpful in these games. I think the first game I was like super punished for the lack of removal. Being able to kill one of the Strobe Riders would have completely changed the course of that game. This game, killing the Agar would have been good, but I think we'd still be in a bad spot. But yeah, I mean, this is really one of those learning moment drafts. It's just like you just need a mountain of removal in this format, because if we can't interact with cards like Strobe Knight, it's going to completely take over the game. Agar to a lesser extent. If we had removal for Agar early in that game, we probably could have won. But even if we drew a removal spell for Agar later, we did get pretty far behind by the end of that one. Alright, here we are in game 3. Hopefully we can turn it around. Don't get a nice little 0-3 here. I think this deck was really fun. I would love to play with it more. But there's too many must-be-killed threats that we can't kill. Alright, we're down to 19. Another Preening Champion. This is the highest win rate common in the format. It is very, very good. 3 mana for a 2/2 flyer and a 1/1 on the ground. It's like Rouse Reinforcements, but juiced up. Flyers just play really exceptionally in the format as well, because there are tons of ways to clutter up the ground, and there's tons of battles that you want to have evasion to get through. So Champion's just super good. I want to play Invasion of Kaladesh. Could attack it with a frontliner. It's kind of interesting. I guess they trade their 3/3 into my 3/3. It's not that good. I guess we just stay mana efficient and play the biggest card here. I have a super wide board state, but I am going to keep getting chipped at in the sky for 4 a turn too, so we're on a pretty quick clock. 1/1 flyer really doesn't help us that much. A 2/4 flyer does, so maybe I am playing invasion and attacking. I have to get 4 creatures through. They have 4 blockers, we have 8. I'd have to attack them with everyone to flip this, which would leave me with 1 blocker against their whole board, which doesn't actually help me that much. Because they could just choose not to block if I attack with enough creatures to flip this. And then, yeah, I can crew my 1, 2, 4 to block a flyer. But I guess I'd have to block the order at that point. I take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, it doesn't actually help to send enough creatures to try to flip this invasion. Because then I'm just taking way too much damage on the crackback. Well, we've got 3 turns. I guess I have 2 draw steps, so I have 2 more turns. It'll take them 3 attacks to kill us, but we get 2 turns. If I hit like Brutaclad into something, maybe there's a shot. Doesn't seem super likely though. Another Eyes of Gataxius. We hit a Flywheel Racer. Alright. Nice clean 0-3 as you do. So if I attack the invasion hard enough to flip it, I have not enough blockers to survive. I don't have any blockers that can kill the 2/2 flyers. If they have a removal spell to kill the 1/1 flyer, we're dead on board. If they don't, we're dead in 2 turns. And that's just unnecessary, opponent. That's just unnecessary. I could have crewed Eraser and sacked that, but it really doesn't. I'm already dead on board. I have no outs in my deck at that point. Well, no, Brutaclad was still an out, because if we hit Brutaclad, we could turn all our creatures into Flying Thopters to block with. But Cryptomancer is not Brutaclad, and we are dead on board. That is going to be a quick, clean 0-3 today. First 0-3 of the format. Definitely feels really bad, but hey, we got to play with a pretty cool, pretty fun deck, even if it got absolutely demolished. But yeah, you live and you learn, you lose and you learn, you die and you learn, whatever you want to say. Definitely a learning moment. You gotta load up on as much removal as you can in this format. It is way too explosive. And even if your opponent isn't completely beating your face in with Chandra Beacon of Hope and Sheoldred, they could just drop some Xerax Strobe Knights that really need to get killed as well. Agar as well is an uncommon that is a huge card engine that needs to be dealt with. The final game really wouldn't have changed unless we hit multiple removal spells, so unless we were like a 6 or 7 removal spell deck, I don't think we could have won that last game unless we hit Brutaclad a lot sooner, because even if I could kill one of the flyers, we'd still be getting chipped in by the other ones. And then the Sheoldred would have won them the game in the end, regardless. I guess Sheoldred doesn't do anything until we have 8 cards in grave, but they definitely had more follow through than just the flyers that we saw there. And yeah, 1 removal spell wouldn't have been enough. 2 might have been enough to give us time to maybe draw into something. But the first 2 rounds, I think removal could have considerably changed the outcome. If I had removal immediately the turn Agar hit the board, and if I had removal for 1 or 2 of the Strobe Knights in the other round. But that's the biggest flaw in this deck by far, the lack of removal. Outside of that, I did enjoy making super wide board states. If we ever got to cast a Brutaclad, it would have done some pretty wild, pretty nasty stuff. Yeah, I think the perfect version of this deck probably has maybe 2 less frontliners, 1 less beat stick or something, and has like 3 Stoke the Flames. That would have been absolutely perfect because it would have given us more convoke spells to play really cheap with the reinforcements, and it would have given us the removal spells that we needed to interact with some of those pretty devastating cards. And yeah, I guess it turns out everything that we ended up needing to kill was small enough that it would have died to our Nightmare out of black. So maybe splashing the Nightmare was the best way we could have built it. Obviously, nothing we can do about that now. The event is over, but definitely good to think about and to learn for the future. Maybe toss in the Bloodfell Caves alongside the Flywheel Racer and the Double Beat Stick. Play the Collective Nightmare in the failed conversion to at least have a couple removal spells. Makes the mana base worse, but seeing what happens when we can't kill just constant value plays like Strobe Knight and Agar there. Alright. Would have been fun to play around with Brutaclad at least, but that's the way the cookie crumbles today. Nice clean 0-3. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons very much for supporting the channel, and thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more videos like this, you can like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more of these videos in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.